Hey all, this is 012 Boku, and
The Alchemist of Beautiful Jackassery. Jherick here.
we're here to give the next part of the opinions on Fullmetal Alchemist, the first season, the original, and as I said, oh, there's my other notes. As I said, what I forgot yesterday, episode 17, House of the Waiting Family. And Jarek is going to give his opinions where I gave mine yesterday, so take it away, Jarek.
And again, a very perfect choice for the title of this in a lot of ways because I kind of love how this the title kind of calls back to like Panako, her waiting at home for her sons to come home from a war they were never going to come home from, and now Winry kind of being in that same position where she's waiting for her boys to come home from their war. And yes, I know they're not technically in a war, but it's kind of more of an ideological one, to undo their mistakes, to get back their bodies, and to basically fix what they broke, and maybe at the same time also, do a few other things.
Well, actually, Jarek, not only in the concept of war, because I think what this episode does is encompass the Greek and European stories of that. War is a part of it like that. Yes, you're right, but also when family members would go on these journeys
Oh, I
and
was
never
about to
return,
get to that.
the journeyman. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was about to mention how this also parallels to like the story of the Odyssey, or basically the 10 years of Ulysses fucking around, getting into bad situations just to get back to his wife, and pissing off Poseidon in the process.
Well, yeah, but again, tied to war with the Trojan War, of course. But
Oh yeah.
hey,
Well, I mean, Trojan War is just, hey, don't stick your dick in foreign crazy and then bring it home with you. Yeah, for those of you who know the Trojan War, you know exactly what I mean by that. But anyways, yeah, this episode in particular kind of really highlights what I really feel like the entirety of Full Metal is all about, which is simple. It's about family. Like more than
oh yeah,
anything else, this is really a story about family. And it's absolutely beautiful because this episode, probably better than any other episode before or maybe even after, really highlights the interesting parallels between the generations. Hanako basically, falling in love with Hohenheim. Hohenheim, getting lost in the alchemical sauce and never coming home, just like her sons didn't from the war. And now Winry, in a sense, is kind of living through that exact same scenario. She's in love with a brilliant alchemist who's potentially on the verge of losing himself in his obsessive quest. Fortunately, however, Edward has something his dad didn't. He's got bestest bro ever, Alphonse. And of course, everybody's favorite crazy uncle, Alexander Louis Armstrong.
and I'm glad you brought that up, Jared, because there's one correlation I wanted to make. Because you're sort of thinking more of the Brotherhood scape, because I know they don't mention that in the original
Yeah,
here, but yeah, you can tell because I was going to bring up the dream sequence episode where we're learning through the eyes of father and Hohenheim's insecurities when he's dreaming,
yeah,
and you can tell that there was possibly some sort of love or sexual tension with Panako, and you know that Trisha Elric kept showing up there as well. Maybe they were like more friends or whatnot, but you can tell in Brotherhood they were hinting at it. I'm glad.
yeah.
I'm glad it's subtle here, where you probably could think maybe they did have something, but it's never really shown. And thank God for that, because guys, I love Brotherhood, but I'm not gonna lie. Seeing the younger Panako drinking around Hohenheim and being the
Oh, that.
carefree, I'm like, as cool as this is also fucking weird.
Well, but also I feel like we should have gotten that in this one, but I mean, hey, better late than never.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of neat because like when Panako realizes the boys are finally coming back for the first time in 4 years, I love how she tells Winry, "Hey Winry, we have makers make things. I forget like the exact of it, but it's like get things ready. We have honored guests coming."
Uh,
Which is kind of sweet because Panako, you can tell, is not the kind of lady who uses the term honored guest for just anybody. This is a lady who, like, honestly, she probably doesn't give a shit unless you're like somebody she cares about. So for her to use the term honored guest for the Elrics, yeah, you can tell they mean a lot to her. And I love how when Winry hears this, all you see is just her turn around and kind of make this like relieved face. It's just so sweet because you can tell that her and Panako know each other so well. That's all Panako has to say. She doesn't even have to tell her that it's the Elrics. She automatically knows.
Hmm.
And I love how like she probably knew this is like exactly what Winry's been waiting for. This has been on her mind for 4 years, and it's finally happening. It's one of those nice little things that shows you how close of a family
And
they are.
and I know and I know you'll probably get into it, Jherick, but I just want to mention here, since
Mhm.
we have been doing Brotherhood before this, guys, I know they don't really show it as hugely, and this one is they did in Brotherhood, because in Brotherhood you can tell her and Edward are building to that relationship, and I get it, I understand it, but I like how in this one you see it, but it's subtle because where
Yeah,
it's shown through how much she cares through her emotion and love. I just wanted to say that right now, and that's what I love about this episode. It's not talked about; it's shown because
yeah,
I hate to say it, in Brotherhood, it's talked about. So
yeah. It was really kind of pushed heavy in Brotherhood,
yeah.
but
Well,
in this one,
believe me, we haven't even
yeah,
gotten to part two yet. So yeah. Oh,
oh yeah. But in this one, I love how you get to just see, how much she cares about him. And in this one, in this episode in particular, really does a good job of that. Like this one in the Bury the Chopper episode we talked about. But I
oh,
love how like when they
God.
finally get to the door, him and Edward and Grandma Elric get into a shouting match over the height thing. And I love how it's a joke, and yet Alexander Louise Armstrong are beautiful men of what's the word of of
Autistic alchemy.
of virulent virtue tries to ease up the tension, not realizing this is an in-family joke. Like this is just them, kind of giving each other a little sass before they
Well,
get in.
that's the way to speak to your elders, Edward.
And it's like, let me diffuse the situation, and it's just like, who's this guy, and why doesn't he get the joke? And it's so awesome that, yeah, I mean, just this. And then he's just like, my apologies, madam. I am Alexander Louise Armstrong. And
Yeah.
I love how she just looks at his hand for a little bit and she's like, charmed. I mean, it's just the sweetest thing. Like, you can tell already he knows not to fuck with Panako. Just hasn't even gotten into the building, and Panako's already
Well,
got him on a leash.
well, again, even though Alex Louis Armstrong does have this weird way, even though I don't think he sees it of showing his vanity, because that's just how passionate his family is. It's like he's like, okay, shirtless and rumpling missiles and all. How do you do, madam? I mean, showing that even though he does come from a distinguished family, he has a decorum.
Well, I think
Like it's royalty without being royalty.
I think it's also kind of a psychological test of sorts. Like, it's sort of like a litmus test for those of you who know what that is. It's like depending on how people react, he can adjust what he's going to do next. Like if people have the usual reaction where they're just like flash banged by the muscle flexing, then it's just business as usual. With Panako, it's like, okay, this lady's not even reacting. I need to be a good boy and be on my behavior. But if it's like Izumi Curtis's husband, and his first reaction is, okay, I'm going to outflex you, it's like, one of my brothers, we manly shake.
Mm.
I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like his own weird little way of testing people, gauging their reactions.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, not that I'm complaining. You can flex all you want, Mr. Anderson. I'll watch.
Well, again, you would have to think for someone as big and strong as he is, it's like, damn, that's like, yeah, you'd be intimidated by that. I mean, don't even mind the single hair just sticking
Yeah.
down. You'd be intimidated by that friggin' slab of beef.
Of course, I mean, my reaction would be like, exactly how big is your budget for shirts? Because you're always ripping them off and throwing them away. It's like, look, Hogan, I ain't lying. It's cute, but it's like, how much are you paying for your clothes?
I drink plenty of protein powder and I take my vitamins and say my prayers. Not to say I'm ripping off you, Hogan.
But I mean, it is so funny. Like, not even in the door, and of course, the best reaction, Winry braining fucking Edward in the head with a spanner. Like seriously, this girl sniped his ass from the second story balcony with a monkey wrench. I'm just like, dang, somebody's played a lot of Bioshock, haven't you? And honestly, it's kind of cute too. It's like I love how the first thing she does is start chewing him out for busting up his auto mail. Which, by the way, Panako is even more scary this scene because Edwards, yeah, I mean, yeah, he's got like his missing arm tied up in like the sleeve, but she doesn't even have to like touch it. She can tell he's destroyed his arm just right off the bat just by looking at him,
Well, I
which
wouldn't.
is so insane as a mechanic. It's like she doesn't even have to touch it or even do anything else. She can just look at his arm and know it's missing.
Well, I wouldn't say that Panaka was equally as mad as Winry because I said it was more of indifference because she knows. I always
Well,
believe.
no, I don't think she was mad. In fact, if anything, judging by Panako's reaction, I think she was actually expecting them to basically get half destroyed by now.
No, that's why I was saying that's why she was indifferent to the situation because I think she's the one person who, even though she says in this episode, I haven't heard word from these boys. I think she knows that whatever they're doing is they're going through hell and back. So
Yeah,
she understands it because, like you said earlier, we only get this in Brotherhood. We don't get this in the original. We only get it in Brotherhood. But she had two sons she lost in the war. One being the one we know about with Winry's father, the other son being a soldier. And again, so she knows what the Alex are probably doing, even without it. Which again, that familial connection, which I think we've all lost touch with again, which is why I like
well, and
this show because it,
what's really impressive about it is you have to know deep down in her heart she's probably scared that they're basically going on no less than the same quest Hohenheim did and never came back from.
hmm
That's got to be just eating at her because they've become like her new children. And again, having to see these children, who are the children of the man that she loved, go off basically to engage in the same quest, working with the same people that got her sons killed, has to be eating her up every day for 4 years. And yet she's able to maintain her composure like an absolute boss. And it really shows Panako has grown so much where like she's trying you have to know like deep down she's trying to keep her composure because if she starts losing her mind and getting all blubbery and stuff, she knows what's going to happen to Winry. So she has to try to be strong for Winry, and it's actually really sweet. I mean, it's one of those family things, you know.
Well, that's why I like the scene where after they start working on Edward and Granted, I know the Alex are outside, and Armstrong is watching from the window. I like how Panako says, you know, what do they do? We haven't heard
Yeah, what
anything,
have
but
their lives been like because they haven't sent even so much the postcard in the past 4 years, which shocks what's his name Armstrong because well, I mean they're children, they should be writing back. Every soldier wants to hear back from their loved ones, so it kind of tips him off that Edward's kind of getting lost in this thing he's trying to do. But it's really cute. He doesn't sugarcoat it with her, but he does say it nicely. It's like, well, they've garnered quite the reputation in Central and the East, but because of this, there have been complications as that they do get involved in from time to time. And she doesn't, she handles it very well, and she's but she's like, I'm glad to see they're doing okay. They always were very, and he's like, yes, they're very strong young men. And you see her have a flashback to the operation, and yeah, this is a hard scene to talk about because, good lord, I hate hospitals, but it really makes you. It kind of goes back to the idea that the Elrics are just on a completely different level than most people because I know this is something only people who have had very big operations done on them would ever understand. Do you think it was the weather?
well, all right, we're back on. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. As I was saying, when you see the stuff in the flashback, like the IV, the instruments, you know exactly how painful, how bad shit would have to be for any of that to be there, and for Panako. to basically know how to do this to stabilize him, to keep him alive while doing the automail and whatnot, that indicates that she has a lot of medical training too. Might even be why her children decided to become doctors, to be honest with you. And it really also shows why she's the best automail mechanic, because honestly, if you're going to be like making artificial limbs for people, well, a high degree of medical knowledge would be something that would be very useful to have, which we're going to be seeing a lot of that in this episode, by the way. Because while she's basically examining his broken automail, she's noticing like, oh, your human foot has actually gotten a little bit bigger. You've grown a bit, haven't you? And then she like takes a hit off her pipe. It's like, yeah, we're basically going to have to replace your leg as well, so that'll be to create equilibrium and balance with your other foot. And we actually get to see the detailing on Edward's leg and artificial automail leg and foot. And this is what's interesting about it, because I mean, you would think with like automail, you like it would be so stupid and superfluous to just like actually add in accents like joints and whatnot for the toes, or an actual well detailed ankle bone and muscle. But that's just how amazing Winry and Panako's automail is. And I think the reason why they do this, strangely enough, is the same is the probably the exact same one they used for like Aegis in Persona 3. For those of you who don't know, she's basically an artificial autonomous battle maid who wields a persona. And she explains in game, well, why, if you're going to make an anti shadow tank weapon, why would you design it to look like a girl? Well, the answer is simple. It needs to be realistic enough so that the artificial soul they put in there can identify as being more or less like a human, because you need human thoughts to wield a persona. So the anti tank weapon has to look like a human if it wants to think and act like a human to get a persona like one. It's kind of the same thing with this. Like if you want a better adjustment for the body, knowing that you still have a human leg, then you would want the artificial one to be as human as possible, so that those lingering memories will better connect and it will be able to synchronize with the movements with the real leg. It's kind of like the also a bit of an explanation like with like Pacific Rim. Like, why does it have to be two pilots synchronizing their movements? It just kind of it's one of those things where it's like it better helps out, like with the increased size of the robot. You need at least two different movements, two people synchronizing the movements in order to better link up with like the artificial movements. It just takes that much more, and you have to have this equilibrium, this balance. It has to look real enough, it has to be shaped real enough, it has to have, even if it's artificial, you want like the bone structure and a simulation of like the nerves and whatnot, so that the mind can better sync up with the movements with the real one. They also kind of explain this partially with like Genji Shimada in Overwatch, because there was like a comic where Angela is basically having to link up his cybernetics, and she's saying, he's mentioning to her like, I can't use my bow anymore. My real arm isn't syncing up properly with my artificial one. And she's like, it's probably due to the difference in weight and mass in that at the distribution in the artificial one. And he's like, if that's the case, just chop off the other one so that my arms can be balanced again. And this horrifies the shit out of her. So she's kind of the one who just suggests, why don't you just not use the bow and instead switch to like sword fighting? It's kind of one of those things, like if you're going to create artificial limbs, you want them to be as realistic so that your mind has an easier time adapting to it. And the fact that the Elrics adapted, well, Edward adapted so quickly to his artificial ones shows not only the quality of their automail and their design philosophy towards it in general, but just how brilliant it is, because the show at times points out even the most brilliant automail users usually take at least months and months to even get basic movements down, let alone, more advanced stuff. They were basically hopping around and kung fu fighting like the second he got his automail, which again really shows the difference, not only in craftsmanship, but in the person they're attached to. Sorry, I got off to a nerdy rant again. But it's neat to see that like they put this much care into everything that they do. Like when you see close-ups of his hands, you see that it's got segmented and jointed fingers, bones. It simulates the hand as perfectly as an artificial limb could. And it really shows just how absolutely autistic Winry is about this stuff, which frankly I love. But yeah, I mean, sorry, I'll get to the good stuff now. So he's asking us like, not only do I need my arm replaced, do you think you could do it quick, like within a week? We need to get back to Central as soon as possible. She just kind of gives again the Panako stare, as I'll call it, and is like, "Don't insult me. I'll have it done in 3 days." Which again, this is just how you know Panako is built different. But this whole time, you can see Winry is losing her shit. It's like, that was my best auto mail, and you broke it so easily. Well, no fairness, Winry, it did break down rather quickly. And I love her. But then we see something cute. She notices his watch. It's like, is that one of those State Alchemist watches? Those custom jobs? Yeah, these augment our powers. Can I have a look at it, please? And she's like, oh my God, custom craftsmanship, unique metals. Look at the refinement in the technique. Oh, please, Edward, let me take it apart. I want to learn more about it. Seriously. This is one of the reasons I love this girl.
Now, well, one heck in the episode where she's kidnapped by Barry the Chopper, look how nuts she went over a refrigerated truck.
Yeah, really. But ultimately, he shuts down the suggestion. But, as we also get to see a wonderful thing of Armstrong making firewood by punching it. Seriously, how much of an animal is this man? But it's actually kind of sweet. Like she's, oh please, please let me take it apart. It's like, wait a minute, if you won't let me use yours, she looks at Armstrong. I think I'll go chop enough wood for a year.
Yeah, where he still has the glowing, Armstrong stars, as I like to call him. And then he's like, I'm gonna go chop it ears with the firewood. And I think the reason he got like that is because he heard what Edward was saying, how, you'll take it apart, but who knows if you can get it back together. Yeah. And it's like, goodbye.
Also,
You're so stingy.
I love how like when he's talking to Al outside, he's got like his replacement automail leg that he's using for the time being, which is nowhere near as good as the one he had. He's still able to walk around quite well in it, which again, I know it seems like a stupid superfluous detail, but try to remember, like for people who either rely on this stuff or people who use it like all the time, having to replace something that critical and then get used to it is just like such a huge mental what's it called, mental curveball for them.
Yeah. Well, again, when you have as much passion in the will as Edward did,
Yeah.
because again, like we talked about, just going forward, not really looking back, going forward and keeping with the goal.
Oh yeah, because I mean, there's like a scene in Descendants of Darkness where like one kid had a bunch of bullies take.
Let's Google